I've got one of the top transfers in the entire country about ready to join me. He's a great player, but let's just be honest. He's one of the best winners in college basketball. He doesn't do anything but win games. He's a great player, a great guard, and he's going to be one of the guys now in charge of continuing the success that Coach Jerome Tang and company have built at Kansas State. And so with that being said, it's a blessing to be able to welcome on Kansas State guard Tylor Perry. Tyler, how you doing today, man?
I'm good. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, man. You're always welcome on. Well, I want to get into one thing first because you guys just recently got back from a unique trip, not a trip that many people get to take in their lives, and that was to go out to Israel, Abu Dhabi as well. You got to walk us through that though, because I know you're posting some pictures out there. We saw clips from all the different players and coaching staff. It's got to be a special trip. So just walk us through what that experience was like for yourself.
It was beautiful. You only get to see things like that in books and movies,
Mm,
and it's not too many times that you actually get to experience like that, something like that in person. And just to be able to have our feet in a holy place like that,
mm,
it was. We didn't have enough time to soak it in, and
yeah.
the people are amazing over there, and the way they believe in God and they believe in their culture and their religion. It's like it really make you question, like, am I really a believer? Like, do I really put the work in? And
Mm.
it was so much fun. Those are memories that I'll be able to take for generations. And so, the biggest thing was just being able to gel and get to understand my teammates and coaches a little bit more. Because we've all had a crazy busy summer, and so to be over there and really be together and do things together, man, it was a lot of fun.
I know that there's constantly countless things that, like you said, you could have experienced and could have had an opportunity to do if you guys were out there longer. But you just get to have the aspect that you mentioned. You got to go walk around the places that we read about in the Bible. You got to go experience the places that Jesus once walked. What did that mean to you? 'Cause I know you're a believer, so you got to take us through that a little bit. Just to get to be able to soak in that spiritual aspect. What was that like for yourself?
It was huge. Like I said, it's easy to say we're believers and easy to be like we're in the word, but then being around people who actually like are seriously in it, take it every day, and dedicate their lives to that, it really makes you think like I need to be better. And so, just being able to touch places like where Jesus was born and
Mm,
where he was crucified and walk the steps he walked to his crucifixion. We didn't get to see the Garden of Gethsemane. I was upset about that one, but
mm.
it really really opened my eyes to a lot of different things that there's a lot of things out in the world in life period that are bigger than me. And so it wasn't just my religion that got help, but just who I am as a person. And just being able to learn how to grow my faith from learning from them and the different things they believe in and how they believe in and the different things they do to grow closer to him. And so it was really eye-opening and really touching.
So if you got to give us your three biggest takeaways or three favorite experiences that you had out there, what would they be?
Number one is probably going to be the sand dunes. Right up there at the end, getting on the sand dunes and the camels.
Mm,
I never thought I'd be on a camel. Like I'm from a small country town, so I've been on a horse, but being on a camel was crazy. Like it was wild actually being on a camel. They're much bigger than horses. Um, the Dead Sea was amazing. Like the Dead Sea was crazy. Um, I just said this yesterday in an interview that I couldn't believe that it was actually able to float our assistant coach Jerome Dowling. Like it's real. Like it's a real thing. Like it actually like it doesn't matter who you are. Like it's gonna float. And when he floated in there, I was like, oh, anybody can get in there. But yeah, but and then like everybody was covered in mud and putting it in their hair, and Tang and them was putting it in their hair. Like it was wild. Um, and then I'm saying number three was probably the hotel, our last hotel in Abu Dhabi.
mm,
5 star. And we stayed where Team USA was at, like
hmm.
5 star. It was wild.
So I saw a picture that was posted. I forgot who exactly posted, but it was Coach Jerome Tang talking to Grant Hill, obviously the new president of Team USA basketball. Did you guys get to interact with the team at all? Did you guys get to go potentially watch a practice or talk with them at all and just be able to be around some guys that are some of the best players in the NBA today?
Yeah, so we got to actually go sit in their practice for about 20 minutes. We had
Okay.
a game later that day, so we couldn't stay too long. But we got to sit there for about 20 minutes and watch them like go through their walkthrough or whatever. And so even though they weren't like going fast and doing much, like just to see how those guys talk and how they carry themselves out there on the floor, like on that level, like it's just blessed to be in that moment. and we didn't get to interact with him much. I got to talk to Bobby Portis a little bit, just
Hmm.
because that's hometown cooking. We know each other, and I didn't get to talk to Austin. We played each other in high school, so it would have been good to rap with him, but I didn't get a chance to do that.
Hmm.
But yeah, just being able to be in their presence, and not just the players, but the legends that were in there, Steve Kerr and Tyronn Lue and Eric Spoelstra, like just to be in front of them. And Grant Hill, it was amazing to just be in that space. Not like a lot of people don't ever get to see that in their lives. So
Yeah.
just to be able to be there in that moment was crazy.
So I want to get a little bit deeper into the faith aspect for you because you are joining a program that has a head coach that is probably, if not the most bold, outspoken believer. And I know there's quite a few other coaches that are believers, and there's a few others too that are outspoken. I know Scott Drew's obviously up there as well, both of him and his brother as well. But when you just get to enjoy and have a coach that shares the same beliefs as you, that believes in Jesus, that believes in and gets to kind of mentor you in that aspect, and then on top of that, you get to go through this experience out there in Israel with Coach Jerome Tang. What did that mean to you, and what has that been like so far for yourself?
He's like a real pastor. Like people don't
Hmm.
understand that. Like Tang is like a pastor. Like like we went to I forgot which coaching staff's house we went to not too long ago to eat as a team.
Hmm.
And like Tang came in there and he gave his, song of the year and his word of the year. Like, he got into his word. And like when he's preaching the word and trying to break something down to us, like it's not church, but like he's trying to explain something, teach us a
Yeah.
lesson through word. Like he's like a real pastor. Like it's
Mm.
crazy. Like you really like are sitting there and like you dead locked on him. Like he makes you lock in because like he really knows, like he's really into the word. And
Yeah.
so it's easy to gravitate towards him because anybody could be like, put your heart into something, and you should believe in this or go about this way, or wholeheartedly feel this way. But like when you really see somebody really taking action and walking that walk every day, like it's
Mm.
easy to be like, I have nothing but respect for this man. And it just makes me want to go battle the Romans for him every day because of that. Like that's how much I respect him. It's like I'm gonna lay everything out there for him, just because of what he's doing off the court, not even what the bonus that I get to learn from him every day on the floor.
Yeah.
And so it's easy to just be like, to just sit there and be in awe of him sometimes just because of the way he carries himself.
I know there's I know there's also one other aspect. I know I was talking with Coach Jerome Tang a little bit ago about it, and it's unique because I think a lot of people that are believers kind of experience this aspect that, well, obviously none of us are perfect, but a lot of us will say, okay, we believe in Jesus, we are Christians, whatever, but not a lot of us always go forth and live it out. And so he's someone that I feel like, while he is one heck of a basketball coach, and we're going to get into that in a little bit, he truly is a guy that puts his faith first, that puts Jesus first, and first and foremost, he's going to be somebody that helps minister and helps actually grow young men, grow guys. Like that's his actual first priority as his job. And it almost is like he takes coaching secondary in a certain sense. So when you talk about having a coach that does that to that extent, what is it like being around him in that aspect?
Um, like I said, it's easy for people to walk into their office every day and just do their basketball job.
Hmm.
It's easy for him to come. It would be easy for him to come up here 8 hours a day or whatever, how long, and just focus on plays, on who as a basketball team, and that be it, and him go home to his wife.
Yeah.
And Tang is like actually invested in who we are as people because he knows like he only gets us, some of us for 4 years, some of us for a year, some of us for two. And so
Hmm.
like he knows he has a shorter bit of time like to make this thing work for us off the floor.
Yeah.
Basketball is gonna be basketball at the end of the day. Like, we'll figure out the X's and O's as time goes on, but it's only once in a lifetime where you get to be around not only just Tang, but the whole staff of a group of people like this who are really invested in who you are after you're done here. And just I've only been here a short amount of time, and I already know like once I'm done, like these are guys that I'll talk on the phone every other day when I leave. And so, again, that's just a testament to who they all are as a staff, not just Tang. And that's just a credit to him and who he hired. And
Hmm.
I think it just goes, hand in hand with each other. And like I said, a lot of coaches out here, they talk about how they want to be good guys, and they talk about,
Yeah.
their plans to seek out the um, the spiritual aspect of it, and try to put that into their program, and install that in their players of being a good person, showing up on time.
Mm-hmm.
And Tang does that through his preachings. And so, like I said, a lot of guys try to walk that, but and talk that and walk that, but he really does it. And so it's
Yeah.
like I said, it's so easy to respecting because of it.
Can you take us through this coaching staff? Because when we look from the outside looking in, it looks like one of the most fun locker rooms. It looks like one of the most energetic coaching staffs. There's a couple of coaching staffs come to mind. I think we look at Arkansas. They are very good on social media. We see a lot of stuff that they do. Coach Jerome Tang came in 1 year and he made this look like one of the most fun atmospheres you could possibly join. Like, I think anyone that watches the clip of either the locker room, March Madness, even with the Little Baby song going on, whether that just be on or off the court, like, you almost feel like you want to go on and then become a player on that Kansas State team. And I know one coach specifically, Coach Jerome, you were with him for a little bit off there at North Texas. You've known him for a while. But when you just see this whole coaching staff, how fun truly is it to be in that situation, to be on that team and to just be involved with all those coaches?
I wish every kid could be in this position to just be around them every day. Like, I've been in situations where I've let me not even go there. Um, Again, it makes you enjoy coming to practice, coming
Mm,
to getting ready to go to battle, getting ready to go get on the plane, getting ready to go to team dinner, team breakfast, like, because you're gonna get, it's not sometimes with them. It's never an on and off switch with them. They're every day they're gonna give you exactly what they told you they were gonna give you in the recruiting process. Pause. But like they really like are invested in you, and like they're gonna show up and be who they are. And that's one thing that Tang preaches all the time to not only us but to his staff. Like, that's one of the things Reem told me. He was like, Tang said, like, just be you. And not only Jareem, but Jared Hollis, who just came over with me from North Texas,
mm,
one of our GAs. One of the first things they said was, be you. Like, no, don't try to come in here being somebody else. Be you. And that's what they want. That's what they want the culture about. They don't want us to come in here being anybody else or trying to fit this criteria or fit into this criteria. Like, they're genuinely saying, like, we're gonna be ourselves, and we're gonna learn. Because you got to learn over the time. How to whatever maneuver. But at the end of the day, like, your habits that you do every day are gonna come out, and they're such good people. It shows, and it's not. And good things happen to good people, and I think that's why Tang and the rest of his staff has been so successful.
So you're going through this recruiting process, and if I'm not mistaken, the Final Four comes down to Kansas State, Florida, Texas Tech, who was where your old former coach is now at, Coach Greg McCasland, and then Ole Miss as well. You had these four schools, and you're a heavily recruited player. You would have been likely a starter and one of the go-to guys wherever you went. What was it about Kansas State? Why did you choose them over those other three schools?
At the end of the day, it was Dream Dallin
Hmm.
and Jerome Tang. I couldn't put it. I couldn't. Wish I could give you this big story about this did this, but honestly, um, I was very high on Florida. This is the first time I'm telling somebody this outside of the staff. I was very 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 high on Florida. Really big shout out to that staff. They did a very good job of recruiting me, and I felt like they had a very good plan for me. But it was just when I got to Manhattan, the love I felt as soon as I got off that plane, from the time I got off till I left, I was like, it was just like, this is where I need to be for my
Hmm.
last year in college basketball. Like, and one of the biggest things was I wanted to have fun and enjoy my last year.
Hmm.
And I felt like here was the perfect place to do it. And again, while being myself.
Yeah.
And so those two really, really pushed me over the edge. And then Reem also told me he wasn't letting me leave. So Reem told me I didn't have a choice. So yeah, it was them two, man. And then yeah, it was definitely just I wish I could give you this big story, but Dream Dallin and Jerome Tang really, like, and maybe I knew Jared Hollis was coming too.
So this is an interesting place because Kansas State historically has not been this legendary school, right? And in Florida, obviously, they have had the championship banners. You could have walked in the stadium, you see the championships, you see the long list of great NBA players. Kansas State hasn't had that much success before. They've had certain players, they've had certain years, but it hasn't been continued success. And so I
Right.
know when you go as a recruit, a lot of recruits like to say, oh, I want to go play for a school that's got all these championships. I want to go play for a school that like Allen Fieldhouse or Chapel Hill or whatever it might be. But Coach Jerome Tang is coming in here and he doesn't have all this history behind him. So how does he pull in a recruit? Like, what's his approach to you and as the whole staff, I guess, as a whole, to try getting guys to say, you know what, maybe we don't have the history right now, but we're going to build that history and we're going to make history together pretty much.
Well, one of the biggest things Tangy was saying was that we're gonna win now.
Mm,
I know a lot of programs are like, and that was one of the biggest things in my recruiting process was I was open with every college coach about this. Was like, I'm not trying to come into a rebuilding situation. Um, it's time to win now. I've never been to the NCAA tournament, so it was like that was the biggest thing. Was the first thing I told him was like NCAA tournament and then the Final Four. And Tang looked me in my eyes on my recruiting trip and in the office the day I was leaving. It was like, excuse me, it was like, we're gonna go to Phoenix either with you or without you. And he was the only coach to tell me that in my recruiting process, and I really he meant it when he said it. He said we're going to Phoenix with or without you. He's like I'm gonna go find a point guard who's gonna lead me to Phoenix, and I know he really meant it. And I was
mm-hmm,
like, well, that's gonna be me. So at the end of the day, um, yeah, it was that. It was just like that drive and determination, and like when he says that in the media, like he really means it. Like that's what he preaches every day. It was like we got to box out to get to Phoenix. We got to
mm-hmm.
show up on time to get to Phoenix. Like we have to lift to get to Phoenix. Like that's what the biggest thing is about. And when you got that type of drive and then you get all the same guys on the same page, like it's hard to not like chase that goal and want that. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
got the head of the snake that wants it, like it's easy to trickle down the line.
Well, I'm not sure they could have got a point guard likes to win more than you because let's just get to the numbers. Now, first of all, yes, you know how to play basketball at a high level. You're great, incredible shooter on the top. All the stuff on the court's great. But the fact of the matter is that what matters in basketball is if you get those W's or those L's. And we
Right.
look at your college career, 25 losses in 4 years. We've had programs in college basketball last year that had 25 losses in one season. And I'm not going to necessarily name some of the schools, but there were some schools that did not have pretty good seasons last year. You've had 25 in all of your college career so far. That's not easy to do. That is a success. And that goes to a testament of you. Obviously, we've seen it's been different roles each time. Obviously, you had JUCO roles, you've had a six-man role, you had being the go-to guy all game long last season in North Texas. What is it about you that just goes out there and some way, in some shape or form, you find a way to get the W pretty much every game you play in?
I just want to win at the end of the day, like you said. You hit on it, man. At the end of the day, the biggest thing is winning.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody is remembered for scoring 30 points and averaging 30 points and having 20, 25 L's on their record that year. Um, so when I was younger, don't get me wrong, I got caught up in if I didn't play well, I'm still upset that we won, whatever the case may be. But as I grew older, I still had times where it bothered me. But at the end of the day, like I want a ring on my finger, and so I like my hand feeling heavy, and so the biggest thing was always just like win at all costs, and I think it comes from a competitive standpoint of, getting beat up by my brothers when I was younger. I got
Mm-hmm.
tired of losing at a very, very early age. Uh, they would not allow me to win, and so like from then on, it was like maybe I could blame them. Everybody has to pay, and so the biggest thing is just is continuing to win. Like if I'm not known for anything else, like I don't want anybody to be like, well, he's a good player, but he can't finish the job, or he's a good player, but he can't win. Like say what you want, my height, whatever, not athletic enough, whatever you want to say what you want. But I've always felt like if on any team on any given night in any given situation, like we have a chance just because I just feel like I bring a winning culture, and at the end of the day, like I care about those next to me because off the court also, and so it's easy to pretend for so long, but I think that catches up to you. But I genuinely care about those people, those 14 guys next to me.
So I couldn't find too much stuff in terms of your wins and losses prior to, I think it was your junior year of high school. Have you always won? Like I don't know if you're playing with YMCA ball, whatever it might have been, AU, whatever. Like has winning always been in your DNA? Have you always been able to win at a high level, or did that start happening more towards high school, later years, and then obviously throughout your college career?
No, I've always been a winner. Yeah. The only thing I never won was a state championship in high school.
Mm.
My last 3 years in high school, though, I got beat in the final. I got beat by the state champions in the Final Four. Um, but I've won. I've always won. My 8th grade year, I won my junior high regional championship. Ninth grade. My ninth grade year in high school. My first year in high school was the only year I did not. I wasn't. It was a struggle. That's a
Hmm.
different story for a different time. But yeah, that was the only year of my life where I really, really struggled. Like in AAU for like 3 years in a row, from like fifth, sixth, seventh, 8th grade. Like we only lost like 10 games in AAU. So it was like
Mm.
I've always prided myself on that. Like that was always the biggest thing to me. Was like, ain't nobody gonna say I'm a loser.
Hmm. Well, you coming out of high school, you had to take a JUCO route. This past recruiting process was a lot different for yourself because you had all the schools in the country pretty much wanting you. So that's obviously a big change over the course of what, 3, 4, or 5 years or whatnot. When you were leaving high school and you had to go to JUCO route, did you expect or even imagine or believe that not only would you become a Division I player someday, but you're going to be a guy that the University of Florida, Kansas State, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, the list goes on, was going to want you to not just come be on the team, but to be one, if not the go-to guys for the team?
Absolutely not. I knew I always felt I was good enough to play Division I, and I always felt like one day I'll be at a Division I. But I'm thinking small school. Like I've always felt like I've been good at evaluating myself, and I'm at the time of coming out of high school, I'm really thinking any school at that point. But I'm thinking small school coming out of my first year out of JUCO, and then even my second year. I was thinking like maybe high major, but um, I'm thinking low major, mid major, and that's what I felt about myself, honestly. And it wasn't a
Mm-hmm.
knock on myself. It's just like I don't get me wrong. I tried to work harder than anybody around me, but it was just like I felt like at the time, like, okay, I'm not being recruited by these high majors, so maybe I'm just a mid major, low major player. But never in my wildest dreams did I think like I was gonna be the go-to guy at any high major, or whatever the case may be, is sought at any high major. I wanted it, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it was gonna ever be a reality. And I actually told my old JUCO coach this, um, Abdul Oluseisi, who's at Indian Hills now. I told him when I first got here, I was like, the first 2 weeks I was here, I was like, I really cannot believe like I'm on campus here right now. Like I can't believe I'm in the Big 12. And I
Yeah.
actually sent that out to a couple of my old coaches, and they was just like, well, it's real. Like you need to stop acting like you know what I'm saying. You need to stop acting like you don't belong. And because for the longest, man, like it was really a not a culture shock, but it was a shock to be here.
Mm. So when did you think you could be that? Or has it maybe not even setting yet the fact that you've been at this level yet? Or when did you start really feeling that, I can go out there and I know that I truly am one of the best players whenever I step on a court. At least you can truly legitimately believe that now and that you have a chance of playing wherever you really want to go play at.
Once we got back from Israel, uh, yeah, it was. I went into that trip kind of like questioning myself. Kind of was like, how good are you really are, and it was really like I need to figure out myself, because I always felt like I was good, but I still have a ton of work to do now. But I really had to question myself on, you've never really played pros, consistently, whatever. And don't get me wrong, in Conference USA, we obviously have pros, as we all
Hmm.
seen this past year. But it was just like, now you finally get a chance to be with other really good players, 1 through 5, and you're playing against high level talent. And
Yeah.
so I definitely could have played a whole lot better over there. But going back and watching film and then being in that moment, I kind of got like, I'm like, yeah, yeah.
So how much better do you think you could play? Because I was looking at some of the stats. What was it? 9 threes, I think, you had a game. You had a couple games of 30 plus points. So how much better could you really have played though?
Um, just little things you can clean up that you may not
Yeah.
see when you watching the game and you go back and
Hmm.
watch it. That they may try to take away in the Big 12 and in tournament time. So it's like
Yeah.
definitely things you can clean up, and
Sure.
yeah, film doesn't lie.
All right, so I want to go a little bit deeper into some of your college career so far. You go out to JUCO, and that's not an easy situation for a lot of guys. People that cover or look at JUCO basketball know that it's not easy. It's a tough type of game. It's where you really have to get a dog mentality type of situation. You're going to have to go through ups and downs. It's not the luxury 5-star hotel. You're not going to be staying at that like you just did for Kansas State. You're not going to be staying in these custom nice dorms and not playing in front of these big old stadiums. It's a much different situation. So What was it like playing JUCO basketball, and how did that help grow you into who you are today now?
JUCO was amazing. I
Mm,
don't know why people have so much against JUCO. I
yeah.
get it. It's not technical and broken down in so many possessions or whatever because it's so up and down. But
Hmm.
JUCO was one of the funnest times I've ever had playing basketball because like you really just out there hooping, and I had some of the best teammates my 2 years in JUCO. Like they made it so fun for me, and I think that's why I enjoy hooping so much in JUCO was because of the people I had around me. Like if I'd have been anywhere else in any situation, I might have. We'll probably be talking about a completely different situation right now.
Hmm.
But just being able to have those type of teammates around me and the coaching staff that I had to push me to be where I'm at today, and push me at that time of my life, they made the game so much more fun for me. And but man, JUCO is tough, man. Like that's is people are trying to get out. Like they trying to come at your neck every night, and your scholarship could be theirs. And
Yeah.
and that's a real thing. And like people know that. I went into the national tournament, and my second game into the national tournament, dudes was like, "Why would North Texas take you?" And it's like a real thing. Like dudes really want your scholarship. They want the scholarship that they felt like they supposed to have. And not only do the competition want it, your teammates want it, and which
Yeah.
they should. And you know what I'm saying? So it's an everyday battle in practice. And I think that's why we ended up winning the national championship my second year because we fought so hard in practice. Like practice was our games, and nothing came easy, and like we knew that, and we couldn't be recruited at the time either. Like coaches weren't able to come out due to COVID, so it was like nobody was in that practice gym, but we were in there playing like scrimmages, like it was game 7, and I really mean that. Like my teammates, that's a testament to all of them, and
Mhm.
just to be able to push each other to be to where we are today. And so man, JUCO is I would do it all over again if I could.
All right, so you head out of JUCO and you go to North Texas then, and you end up having a first season where you are a six man. You have six man of the year. You have an incredible team that year as well. But why originally did you want to go to North Texas? Like, what was it about there that you decided to go play at North Texas?
I couldn't take visits.
Mm,
I had to do all virtual, and so Matty B, shout out to Matty B. He's in Lubbock now. He really, kind of did it for me. I had to really trust somebody, and Jay Herkelman, my JUCO coach at Coffeyville, really trusted Matty B. And I had to. I'm really big on trusting those that I can believe in, and when Hurt vouched for him, and I kind of got a great feeling for Matty B. And then the biggest thing, man, was um, North Texas had an assistant coach, Coach Hag, passed during my recruiting process.
mhm.
I'll never forget it. He passed the day I was supposed to get on Zoom with him. He passed that morning, trying to get back to take his daughters to school in a car crash.
Yeah.
And rest in peace to him. And Matty B still calls me hours later and was like, "Listen, like this happened, but I just want you to know, like, we're still all in." And he couldn't even get his words out. Like he broke down while
Hmm.
he was trying to tell me. And right then and there, I was like, "This is my guy. Like, I'm going with him."
Yeah.
And that kind of did it for me. It was just like again, I had to be able to get on the phone, still get on the phone, and they going through that to think about me in that situation. It was just like, yeah, yeah, this is somebody I can really like rock out with.
So your first year, you embrace a six man role. That's something that I know is valuable. We see in the NBA, we see the Lou Williams guys, the Jamal Crawfords, we see those guys that take on those roles. But at the end of the day, I know a lot of guys, it's tough to take on that role. Everyone wants to be the starter, but
Right.
you decided to say, you know what, I'm going to come off the bench. I'm willing to sacrifice for the team. And you guys did win a lot of games, so it worked. And you win six man of the year, and you still debatably might have been even the best player on that team statistical wise. But what in your mindset allowed you to say, you know what, I don't need to start. I'm willing to come off the bench, and I'm going to take on the sacrifice and take on this six man role this year.
Well, Matt came to me after our second game, after the Buffalo game. I want to say what? No, yeah, maybe after the Buffalo game. Yeah, after the Buffalo game, I asked me, he was like, "Do you feel like you should start? Like, do you think you need to?" And um, at that point, we were 1-1. We had just lost, but I felt like our starting five really gelled together because they were comfortable with each other. They had been together for a year, and I knew JJ Mary was the glue to our team, him and Thomas Bell, and I knew they need to be on the floor together at the beginning of the game. And so I was just like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And
Hmm.
it wasn't really about me starting at that point because I played starter minutes, so it wasn't really about me starting or about me. It wasn't about my ego at the time. It was about the team at the end of the day. And I definitely could have let my ego get in the way and say like, yes, put me in the starting lineup, whatever the case may be. But I just knew that five gelled really, really good together, and
Hmm.
and we just needed a spark off the bench. And Mac essentially ended up saying that to me, and I was like, I got you. And so it allowed me to flourish and allowed me to figure out a lot of different things about my game. And you know, obviously it probably caught a lot of people off guard bringing a 5'11" point guard off the bench to score. So
So you mentioned you're 5'11". I know you also talked about before. You don't necessarily have a lot of height advantages in games, and I know that the program you're coming into, you're not as small as Marquise Noel was per se, but you still don't necessarily have the height advantage a lot. Like that's not going to be something that's going to be your strong suit going to a lot of games. How have you learned to adjust to that? How have you learned to be a guy that a lot of the time you're going to be smaller than the other guy you're going against? How do you get through that, and how do you play through them to become and produce at the level that you do?
because David slayed Goliath. But
Hmm.
nah, at the end of the day, it's just about what's inside, and I feel like I got one of the biggest hearts in the country, and I really mean that. And I don't believe there's when I step between those lines at 94 feet, um, there's not a man on that floor that doesn't bleed like I do. And I truly believe that, and there's not a man that can't fall like I can. And so it's never really bothered me from the time I was young. I've always been smaller than everybody, and so I've never been on a team where I've been the biggest guy, and I've never played against anybody where I've been the biggest guy on the floor. So that's never bothered me. It's if anything, I use it to my advantage. And some people say I have little man syndrome, and I don't think so. But you ask some of my teammates, they may say that. But I genuinely believe like um, I don't care how big you are, how fast you are, how tall you are. At the end of the day, like when them lights turn on and that ref throws that ball up, like all the height, the statistics, the 5 stars, all that can't save you. You got to show me. So
So you're an NIT champion now, and anyone that watched that tournament, and specifically let's get into the game against UAB, that was quite the ending of a game right there. You put on a display, and once again, talking about the winning aspect of yourself, you took over, and you're going up against a guy that was one of the top scorers in the entire country, in Jelly Walker, now with the Dallas Mavericks, if I'm not mistaken. You guys go back and forth, and you hit some tough shots going down the stretch there. You got to walk us through that because you know that this is a chance to win a championship. You're going against another guy that is right up there in terms of the CUSA top players that season, and you decide to completely take over a game, hit some ridiculous shots, take over, and you help you lead your team to a championship. What was the ending of that game like for yourself?
the ending of the championship game.
Yeah.
Uh, I wish I could just like I wish I could have a virtual reality to go replay that over and over again, like, because you don't get to soak it in enough. Like, you don't get to be in that moment enough.
Yeah.
And shout out to Jordan, man. That's my dog. We got really close actually after that.
Mm.
And yeah, like we communicated a whole lot more this summer. Congratulations to him on signing his contract, and I think he's gonna do great things in Dallas, and I hope he has a long pro career. Um, but now the biggest thing is just like I had to get my payback. I don't know if y'all got to see the Conference USA tournament game.
Yeah.
And Jordan was on a mission that night, and hats off to him. And I've said it 1,000 times. He was the better player that night in the conference tournament, and he had a little chip on his shoulder about the Player of the Year award, which he should. And he was on a mission that night, and it felt like he took something from me that night. He took a chance at the NCAA tournament from me and a conference championship. And I knew at the end of that year, that team did not want to leave that season without some type of championship, some type of ring. And so we were all like, we're going to play. Like, we're gonna do this thing. And so getting to that championship game, um, you know, all X's and O's go out the window at that point with 5 minutes to go, and you put the ball in your best player's hands at the end of the day. And people don't understand, like Aaron Scott made some huge shots in that game. Like people tend to forget that,
Hmm.
but it was the battle of the little guards, man. And I think we put on one of the best shows in the country last year, if you ask me. I wish everybody would have got to tune into that game because I think it was high level basketball,
Hmm.
and it was just like I needed my lick back, and what better way to go out in my UNT uniform with my last shot over him for the championship, and so I felt like Jordan in that Jazz arena.
All right, so you're at Kansas State now, and I mentioned earlier that this is a program that hasn't had historical success. They were about middle of the pack, whatever you want to call a Big 12 team, which isn't bad. Obviously, the Big 12 is the best conference for basketball in the country. But you go here now, and in 1 year, Coach Jerome Tang's taken this program from a program that was, like I said, where they were at to now being a team that people look at and say, they're right up there with the best of them. They're going to be
Right.
competing with Kansas. They're going to be competing with all the other top schools in the country, Texas, whatever it might be. What are your expectations now as you head into this final year of college basketball for yourself with the spotlight of being at Kansas State, being in the Big 12 now? What's your expectations for this season?
Could you imagine a conference championship, national championship, NIT championship, then a national championship? Like,
Mm,
that's my dream. That's my goal. At the end of the day, it's a long journey to get there.
yeah,
I'm excited for the journey. The ending thing at the end, when all this is said and done, and we hosting up that trophy in Phoenix, that'll be beautiful, and that'll be something we never forget. But I'm just so excited for this last journey and what's gonna come with it, and what all I gotta do to get there. And that's what I think a lot of people tend to take for granted is the journey of it. And the journey is the best part because now you have something to look back on and be like, look what I went through, look what I had to go
yeah.
through to get to this moment. And so I'm excited for the journey, man. Instead of the ending is always great, ending is always beautiful, but the journey to get there is the most amazing part because now you get to sit, kick your feet up, and be like, look what I had to go through to get here. So I think the ceiling for this team is a national championship, and I really mean that. And I think we have the personnel to do it, we have the people to do it, and we for sure have the coaches to do it. So that's what I'm looking forward to, and I think we got a really really good chance.
So you said about midway through that when we hold up the national championship trophy. So I'm just asking though, is this something that you believe that it's not just a dream or something, but you truly believe and you think that Kansas State not only could but will win the national championship this year?
I definitely don't. I like to speak things into existence,
Hmm.
and I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm calling it or anything like that. But yeah, I definitely see us winning a national championship, and I wouldn't just be saying that. As you know, like when as being from somebody who wins,
Yeah,
I've been on teams where I've been but I truly believe this team has the personnel to do it. Just because of the grit, the talent, how deep we are, and I think we're only going to get deeper here in the next couple weeks. Pause. But I think it's just I think we really have a really good chance, and regardless of what you have on your roster, of course you need talent. When you got guys, 15 guys that buy into what it is that you're chasing, when you have 15 guys that's saying like we're gonna win a national championship and it can't be anything less than that, you give yourself a chance every day of the week. And that's the biggest thing is just believing that. And I can't be the only one to believe it. Tang can't be the only one to believe it. Quan can't be the only one to believe it. Like all 15 plus every person on our staff, when we truly believe that, and you got a program that really truly believes it, and I think everybody believes in Tang to get it done,
yep.
I think you give yourself a chance.
You said you guys gonna get a little bit deeper in the next couple of weeks. So is there potential that we have another transfer coming in, maybe a reclass from high school, and that's another route?
Hey man, I guess y'all have to wait and see.
Well, I do want to get into the personnel of this team, though, because you guys have an interesting makeup of roster. And in today's college basketball world, everyone loves making the preseason way too early thing. And I think in today's world with the portal and all that, it truly is way too early. I mean, at this point, I just got a lot of schools that look good on my list. I don't really have them ranked or anything because if you do that, I think most people are just going to say, well, who has the most returners? And all right, we'll put them 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5
Right,
because we
right.
don't know how they're all going to play yet. And you guys are
Right.
kind of in that situation because last year we head into the season and okay, we know Keontae Johnson. Well, he is a great player, but we haven't seen him in a couple of years. What's he going to look like? Marquise Noel,
Right.
we didn't think he was going to break out. And so they were a team that people were like, we don't know what the heck they are, and they become the team that they were. It's
Right.
similar this year, though. It's not as big of a turnaround as year one for Coach Jerome Tang, but you guys still lose two guys that are all American players. You guys have a lot of guys like Desi Sills that's moving on. You guys have other guys that's changing pieces. You guys do return guys like Cam, though, Naquan, but you guys add in yourself. You add in Arthur Kaluma, add in some solid freshmen. What does this team look like? I think a lot of people are kind of still wondering, like, what exactly is this team going to look like? How good can they be? What like the formation of this team? So what is this team looking like in your opinion so far?
Extremely, extremely fast and athletic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's Naquan in the background talking right now, actually. Extremely, extremely fast and athletic, and I think we're going to be one of the best defensive teams in the country just because of how
Mm-hmm.
long we are up front, and we have like I said, fast guards. Um, that's Naquan right there. You see what I'm saying? And um, I think the biggest thing is like we have talent in every position, and so just continuing to learn how to play together. That's the biggest thing now. Is like you can have the most talent in the world, but if you never gel that talent, it's very very hard to win games. And
Mm-hmm.
we like each other. You know, at the end of the day, like that's the biggest thing. Is like we genuinely like each other. We genuinely like hang out together. And so a lot of teams like they fake it, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can get nowhere doing that. And you know what I noticed early, like once we warmed up to each other, like we generally like hang out together, whether that's just in our rooms, in our living rooms, whatever the case may be. And so yeah, we're super talented, super fast and athletic, and I think we're getting, even though we're young, we're still continuing, I think, to grow. And I think we have a deep bench. I'm super excited about our freshman class, and
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people, when you don't have top 15, top 20 players out of the high school class, people don't look their way. But just watch Day Day Ames, McCaleb, and RJ. Them three freshmen, man, they legit.
So that's what I was going to ask you too, because right now on paper, we look at you guys about six deep. Everyone says it. We know what you're going to be great. We know Arthur Kloon. We know what he's got. We know obviously the 60 guys, Kes Glover coming in and so on. You guys, like, we got six veterans that we kind of have an idea what they're going to be like, and we know they're legit. After that, though, it's a lot of these younger guys that haven't had the rotation yet. So you just said that you're really high on this freshman class, and they have talent and all that, but no, obviously no one's seen them yet. So, what should people be able to expect from the freshman class and guys that's going to kind of help fill out the end of the bench for you guys?
Day Ames, that's the freshman I've taken under my wing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, has a very very good feel for the game. He sees things before they happen. A lot of times, he plays a lot like Jalen Brunson.
Mm.
He doesn't get sped up too much as a freshman. He still has a lot to learn, not being around the block yet, but he can shoot it. R.J. Jones can absolutely light it up when he gets hot. A very good sharpshooter, and he's learning to defend a whole lot more and be more physical, and with no stretch, and I really mean that. Like McCaleb has like a 67-inch vertical, like that's what it seems like. That dude jumps out the gym, and so like I said, once they learn how to play the game at this high level, because
Mm.
experience teaches us all, and so once they just get on the floor, I think it's gonna come naturally for them because they all know how to genuinely play basketball.
Mm. So you look at this Big 12 conference, the best conference in the country, in my opinion, has been that. I think will be that for a while. There's countless teams. You got that rivalry out there in Kansas, going down Fieldhouse. They'll be coming out there to you. I know you're going to be able to play your former coach, Greg McCassin, out there at Texas Tech. And then just got all those other great schools as well. Texas, obviously, and West Virginia, list goes on. Who are you most excited to play against this year?
Who do you think I'm most excited to play against?
Guessing the other team up in the state?
Absolutely. It's always fun. People don't understand. Like people try to say this rivalry is crazy, and don't get me wrong, it is.
Yeah.
This is for sure one of the wildest rivalries I've ever been a part of in my life, and I haven't even played a game.
I was going to say.
But people don't understand. Like I was in JUCO at Coffeyville, and Indy and Coffeyville hate each other. Like the Last Chance U Independence, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's our rival. And so like them two like genuinely have a deep hate for each other, and they're 20 minutes down the road. So it's like I understand the rivalry for sure. Um, but But like what I've experienced since I've been here with the school down the road, yeah, that's gonna be insane when we go to Allen Fieldhouse and they come here. I'm super excited for that game and definitely excited to go to Lubbock. But
Hmm. I wanted to know though, because we know that the fan base is, when you're a K State Wildcat fan, you're a Jayhawk fan, you know the history, you're going right at it. But in your sake, you weren't ever a part of that until just about a few months ago. So when would you say that hate started kind of brewing in you? Like, when did you start feeling, you know what, I don't really like those Jayhawks over there?
um, probably when I stepped on campus and the kids start coming in Kansas Jayhawk jerseys and to the camps,
Hmm.
and some of the parents were Jayhawk fans. Like you can really feel it. I'm telling you, it's a real thing. Like I'm sure you
Hmm.
know, but like for those who don't know, like don't wear Jayhawk jerseys to K State and don't wear K State jerseys to Kansas, and because it's real, and so that's probably when I was like, oh yeah, they really the ops, and so
Hey, but there was a video I saw when I was going through Twitter that there was a little kid came up to you and you ended up autographing the Jayhawk shirt. Was that a little shocking to you? Because I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Like, obviously, I think I told you before. Like, my family's from Kansas. I'm not sure how many people are gonna wear a Jayhawk shirt and get autographed by K State guys. So, can you take us through that a little bit?
yeah. So he had ran up to me and they were in line, of course, taking autographs, and
Hmm.
he had the Jayhawk jersey on, and I kind of made a joke about it, about I couldn't sign that, but at the end of the day, it's all love, because
Hmm.
even before I came to K State, like I'm all team K State. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I played with Dewan, Christian, Ocha, and now Parker Braun, who's over there. And I kind of grew up with them in a sense. And in high school, I stayed with Christian, and we were all together, all the time. And so as I rooted for him before I got out here, but now that I'm in purple, is definitely like I can't rock with y'all no more.
All right. So, a couple more things before I let you go. Coach Jerome Tang made a statement about a month ago, maybe a few weeks ago now. He said you're the best shooter in America. What's your thoughts on that?
I think he's a smart man. I think he's extremely smart man. I definitely got to live up to that, but it's no pressure at the end of the day.
Hmm.
Um, but I think Tank is a very smart man.
All right, so if you had to go into a shootout, what are the guys you think in the country that you know about that's in college right now? Would you consider in that mid? Like, if you were to make it, if we're gonna have the dream college 3-point competition right now, obviously you'd put yourself in there. I know you got 2, 3, 4, maybe even however many guys you want to put in there. Who's gonna be in that competition?
I'm gonna say I'll give you four more. I'll give you Max Adams.
Yep.
Um, I'll probably go. It's a tough. There's some shooters in the country.
Yeah.
This is a tough one. Throw me some names and I'll be able to tell you.
Well, honestly, I think you two are probably the best. I mean, I know there's a pretty big difference. You and Max are probably the two best in my opinion. Obviously, coming off the dribble, being able to create your own shots, not necessarily just catch and shoot as some other guys are.
Right.
I mean, I honestly, I'd probably put you two up there as probably the two best guys. Trying to think off the top of my head, but
Yeah, that's the thing is I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I can't. I didn't went blank.
so basically, it's gonna be a YouTube battle then.
Right. I think at the end. In the end.
So you guys are gonna play against each other though twice.
Yep.
How excited are you for that?
Extremely.
Mm-hmm.
Max is obviously a great player. He had a Cinderella story at ORU,
Yeah.
and what he did over there, you probably never see again. And I got tons of respect for him. I wish he was over here in purple with me, but at the end of the day, uh, I'll see him down the road in January, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be a game for the ages, and I'm excited to battle. And he's fighting for the same thing I'm fighting for at the end of the day, and so again, I can't wait for that one. I'm excited for it.
So you have 1 year remaining in college basketball. What would make it the season that you want? Like, if all the goals happen for yourself personally as a team, what would have to happen for that year to be a success for you?
I wouldn't care if I won a single individual award all
Mm.
year. I would not care. If we win that national championship, it's all my dreams have come true. They can have every individual award all they want. I wouldn't care about being All American. I don't care about none of that. Player of the year, none of that.
Mm-hmm.
Host that trophy up at the end of the year in Phoenix, and my dreams have come true, and I'm good.
So a couple more things I wanted to touch up a little bit more on Coach Tang because I know we talked about some aspects of him, but I mentioned that we know he's as a strong believer. He's a great role model for guys, but we haven't gotten into the X's and O's and him as a coach yet. So you just got the opportunity to play a couple of games with him as your head coach. What makes him special as a coach?
He allows you to, like I say earlier, when I say he tells you to be you off the floor, he does the same thing on the floor.
Mm.
And obviously I played in the slowest pace last year, super
Yeah.
controlled, and it worked for us obviously. But Tang is now allowing to me to express myself as a basketball player in all different type of ways, and it's really exposing the things that I need to be better at,
Mm.
to potentially be on the next level. And that was the biggest thing, is like having to learn and get better for the next level this year also, not just trying to win the national championship is the goal for sure. But one of the biggest things is like you have to be better as a point guard, as a teammate, leader, whatever. And the way he coaches really allows me to see, this is exactly what I need to work on. And
Hmm.
so it's so easy to plan his system, because it's catered to not just me but to everyone, to really expose and to really see like this is what you need to do better if you want to do this, or if you want to go here, if you want to be here. And so it's so easy to play in his system.
There was this play in March Madness last year. Marquise Noel was obviously looking at him. Looks like they're getting a fighter. I don't know what's going on. Throws the lob. Probably, in my opinion, the best play that we saw in all March Madness last year. And I know you might not have to. You don't necessarily have to give the details unless you want. But have you guys possibly worked anything out yet? Like I have to imagine that was a play they had in store last year. I know. Hopefully, we can get Coach Tang on here eventually. I know we were talking about that, so I got to ask him specifically. But are there any potential unique, tricky type plays that you guys have worked on so far together?
Not yet, not yet. We
Mm-hmm.
haven't yet. We haven't pulled nothing out of the bag yet. But I'm definitely excited to see that.
And you also mentioned there was a few things he's talked to you about wanting to improve on so you can be able to play at the next level. What would you say some of those things are?
Expanding my range,
Mm.
off the dribble and on the catch, shooting, making the right reads off screen and rolls, and making the right type of passes. And Coach Perry is gonna do wonders helping me with that. The point guards he's had his track record. So
Hmm.
um, and those are the biggest things. And then just defending, showing people that I can defend high level players. And a lot of times I don't think I get enough credit for my defense. And now he's challenged me every day to like defend at a very high level. And he expects that. It's not just something that he's asking me to do. He expects me to do it.
Yeah.
And so of course I don't want to let him down. So that was one of the biggest things.
So I know we got into your faith a little bit earlier on, and I want to expand on that a little bit more as well because you are very outspoken about your faith. I know you talk about it on social media a lot. When did you start really having that strong relationship with Jesus? Like when did you start to pursue him and have him be the anchor of your life?
Probably right after high school, whenever I wasn't being recruited, and I thought
Mm.
I was gonna get redshirted in JUCO. Um, it was a little point in my life. Like I said, I thought I was gonna get recruited. I had just left high school off my high horse, and I was the last point guard on the depth chart.
Mm.
And I probably cried myself to sleep 4 or 5 times in the shower or whatever. And it was really like you're not gonna be able to get out of this by yourself. And
Hmm.
it was just I had to take a step back and evaluate myself as a person. And I relied so much on myself, and um, sometimes working hard just God puts us in positions and places us in places exactly when we need to be there.
Mm, amen.
And he placed me exactly in Coffeeville right when I needed to be there, and he made me go through that storm right when I needed to, because I was almost at a point where it was just like I'm ready to sit it all down and go a different direction. And it was really then where I was just like, okay, I really have to rely on him to get me out of this, not just relying on myself and going to the gym for 2 hours. And it's easy to be like, I'm gonna just go in the gym and I'll get over it, whatever. But like when you actually rely on him and allow him to do his work and do his justice on you, and you give the glory to him instead of trying to take credit for yourself,
Yeah.
and trying to take his credit, it became so much clearer to me. And don't get me wrong, it still gets hard and it still is tough, but
Yeah.
you continue to believe and continue to trust, like he's gotten me out of this storm, why would he leave me now? And
Hmm.
so, that's where I'm at now. And it's become so much easier in life to deal with things because I know he's gonna push me through. And
Yeah.
so, I don't I try not to worry about too many things anymore. I give it to him. Plus you have to do work on your own. So
Yep.
people don't understand. It's like we think we're just gonna say, okay, here, and that's gonna be it. Well, that doesn't work like that.
Amen.
You have to do work on your own. You gotta meet him there. He instilled it in you to meet him there. And so a lot of times we just sit back and think like, well, I'll let him do whatever. No, he put it in you for a reason. He instilled this confidence. He instilled this type of aura about you for a reason. Like he didn't put you here for no reason. He didn't bring you this far for no reason. But he's also not going to let you become lazy and content in it because he said he's going to deliver.
Yep.
It requires work behind that, and you never know what the work may be. The work may be walking out your house and telling somebody, "I hope you have a good day," and speaking, holding the door for somebody. And
Yep.
it's just simple as things like that. Like, and they say all the time, you never know when you're talking to an angel. And
Mhm.
I try to live my life like that. And so, yeah, man, I know I got off topic subject, but yeah, that was the biggest thing for me was like that time in JUCO when I really had to open my eyes and see like he didn't bring you this far just to come this far.
No, that's awesome, man. And I think that a thing that we learn throughout the Bible a lot is that when we are in our lowest times, it's a lot easier to follow God because we are going to have to rely on something. We're going to need to be
Exactly.
the light, and we can have to rely on something. And obviously, He's going to be there for us in the highs, the lows, no matter what. He's always right there by our side. But the part that Jesus talks about a lot throughout the word is that there's going to be times where we do come out of those bottom times. We're going to have things that we start having highs in life. And obviously, you've had this situation now. You've become a player that's going to Kansas State now. Things look good. Things are overall at a higher place than it was back then. How do you maintain the strong relationship with Jesus and saying, you know what? The same God that you were back when I was on my lows, the same God you are today. And I don't want to change either. I want to keep making sure I grow and I stay living in humility. I stay growing to follow him and being a man after his own heart.
Because he still have ways of humbling us. He still
Mm,
has ways of keeping us grounded if we allow him. And they say the devil can bless you too. And so, you know, the devil can put all these things in our face and these glamorous things that we think we want and we think is going to satisfy us and we think that's going to make our lives better. And we may feel temporary happiness in that moment, but at the end of the day, you cannot be deceived by what the devil's great looks,
amen.
and that comes in many different forms. And so anytime something good happens for me, when I was on the plane on the way back from Israel, I was looking out the window like almost ready to be emotional because it was like, look where the Lord has brought me. And it was like
Mm,
it's so easy for us to sit there and take credit, like, and I could say, oh, I worked hard for this, I got here, I'm the reason. But no, at the end of the day, like, what he's done for me in my life, not just on the floor but off the floor, has led me to this point. And I can't get here and be like take credit for something that he did. It doesn't even, in even after him, it goes to my parents, and then it
yeah.
goes to my brothers, and then my aunt that helped raise me. Like, I'm the last person on the list. And
Hmm.
so it's so easy to just sit here and want to be congratulated, and that's what the devil does. He wanted what God had. He wanted everybody to praise him. Essentially, is why he was kicked out of heaven. And so again, I just don't ever want to fall into that trap of taking credit for what he's done for me, because, and it's so easy to do that, but I will never take his credit because he deserves it all. And not just the miracles I've seen him do in my life, but I've watched thousands and thousands of people around me be blessed and come out of situations where there was no end, where there was nowhere to turn. And
Hmm.
it's like I said, it's so easy to just take that credit, and you can't. And it's just he can, and as long as you don't, you continue to praise him and seek that relationship with him to show him that you're thankful. Like, he'll continue to bless you.
You alluded to talking about being the light and always making sure that no matter where you're at, what you're doing, you're going to try being the light. And you now have a much larger platform now. And I know Coach Tang's talked about that before, that he gets to go out and be the light. He has a much larger platform. Being the head coach at Kansas State, you now get to be the point guard and the lead guard for Kansas State. How exciting is it to you to know that, at least for the next year or so, whatever it is, you get a chance to have a much larger platform. And you also have a coach that's going to support back and help you have that platform to be the light. How excited is it just to be able to kind of realize that you guys have an opportunity now to impact lives, not just make things cool and on the court entertainment, but also help them on a spiritual aspect by being the light over the next season?
Um, with the platform thing, I probably got a girlfriend that doesn't like that. So, but nah, I'm just playing. uh, maybe, but nah. It's because it's bigger than us at the end of the day. Like it's easy to just try to soak that all in and be like, look what I have now. Everybody look at me. But like, who are you touching in this process? Who are you making better in this process? And um, you have to be able to, you know, bring others with you when it comes to this. Like, and one of the biggest things I always do when I go home is tell kids like, there's no reason you should not look at me and say I can't do that too.
Mm,
And that's just not the kids from out of Oklahoma. That's the kids out of Arkansas. That's the kids out of Texas. The kids in Kansas. Like, just please take me as an example. And that's with whatever. It doesn't even have to be basketball. Take me as an example and just say like Tylor Perry did that. Like I can too, because he's the same size as me. He's built like the janitor down the road. He's not fast. Like just look how hard he worked and how much he believed, and not only in his work but in God and trusted in the process.
mm,
And just think like I can do that too. And that's exactly what I try to put out into the world. Is just like I'm not the only one, and I don't want to be the last one.
yeah.
And that's the biggest thing for me is just like I love seeing other people succeed. Like I love seeing kids who from my area come up and they took me as an example and was just like, you did it, so I'm gonna do it better.
Mm.
And it warms my heart to see it because it's like that's all you ever want is to know that I touched somebody. Um, and I changed that kid's life by just showing up, by just acting right, by just being a good person and being well mannered. I changed another kid's life because they seen that somewhere, and so that's the biggest thing. It's the followers and the whatever the case may be comes with that. That's all good and good for your image, but really try to go back and grab the next Tylor Perry or go back and grab the next Jerome Tang and tell them like you can do a whole lot better than I did.
Absolutely, man. Well, Tylor, I appreciate taking time to come on today, man. I cannot wait to see what God's got in store for you over the next season. I'm excited to see what you guys got in store for you guys as a team. I appreciate taking time to come on today, man. Of
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.
course, you're always welcome on, man. God bless you, bro.
All right, my guy.
All right, talk to you later, man.